I am live. Happy Transformation Thursday. I am Mary Corrado, and I am an interior decorator here in Portland, Oregon, and also artist in residence for Amy Howard. And today I am going to be showing you how to do probably one of my favorite projects that I love to do. I love to take Amy's transfers and add them to pieces of furniture. Today I'm doing a cachepot. They can go on just about anything, picture frames, mirrors, whatever you like, but they are so beautiful and they add such a gorgeous, just an extra something like a Gracie wallpaper where they have these beautiful, looks like hand painted birds or butterflies or whatnot. So today, this was my inspiration. I love a beautiful cachepot to add to your table, maybe your holiday table, to have on a side table with beautiful orchids in it, whatever you want. But this one I got off of First Dibs, and I loved the green and the gold. And if you can look closely, it has a very speckled antiqued look with the black. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take an old cachepot that I have and I'm going to emulate this look with Amy's transfers and gold leaf and paint, one-step paint. It's so easy to do. Okay, we are going to first need, this is what we're going to get started. Oh, let me show you. This is kind of an old cachepot that I have. This is just an example of what I mean by a cachepot. They're old. It looks kind of dated, and with fresh paint and the transfers and the gold gilding. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So to get started, we will need, I chose Cherbourg green, one-step paint. Beautiful color. I love this color. We also need Amy's gold leaf. We need Gilding Size. We, of course, always use dark wax and light antiquing wax. Dust of Ages. And I used, of course, clean slate. Always start with clean slate. And on my piece that I worked on, I actually washed it really well with soap and water, dried it, and then I went over it with clean slate, just so I knew that it got off all kinds of years of muck and residue and all that kind of good stuff. Excuse me. For the black, I used gel stain. Kensington black gel stain. This is so easy. Now, if you don't have a gel stain, you can do the same process with an antiquing glaze, the black one-step paint, and water. But the gel stain I had, it's super handy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. But, of course, last but not least, the Hotel Burgundy transfers. These are so stunning. They have birds, they have crowns, they have a little bit of foliage, all kinds of beautiful, beautiful images. So I wanted the green and the gold. And so these are the transfers I chose. Okay, to get started, I am going to do a very small little cachepot, just so you get the idea. Now, how cute are these little guys? I just love these. Okay, we're going to do a coat of paint on this, and then I'll show you the rest of the process. So let me turn this down. I'm going to put some gloves on. It gets a little bit messy on your hands. Make sure you can see that well. Okay, so I just used an 1.5-inch brush, and we're just going to add another coat. I've already done one, but I'm just going to add another coat onto this little cachepot. Now, I also, just because it's metal, and I know that this one step goes on beautifully on metal, and it has. I mean, it's no problem whatsoever. But I also gave my large cachepot a little sanding after I washed it and after I used the clean slate. So let's just give this easy one-step One layer. This is actually 2 layers. But isn't that a pretty green? And it does, as you can see, dry darker. I put it everywhere. And I told you I was going to use gloves, and I totally forgot, but I will get those on. Okay, I'm just going to do the outside for now. But I also did all these gilded. I'll show you when I do it. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the inside at this point. But let's get this dry so we can prepare it for our gel stain and our transfers and our gilding. So I'm going to finish putting these on, and I'm going to blow it dry. So I apologize for the noise, but let's get this dry so we can move forward. It dries pretty quickly. Almost there. I have noticed that since this is metal, it does seem to dry a little quicker because of the heat. I think it just absorbs the heat really nicely. Okay, so here we have, of course, you want to do the inside, the bottom. You want to do 100% coverage everywhere on your Cachepot. Now, at this point, we are going to do a little bit of the gilding, and then we'll rub on our transfer. The gilding, I did freehand because to tape all this out would be a little bit of, I think it would be hard. So I just got a little brush about this big, and I just freehanded around the scallops. So to do the gilding, you want your size. And the gilding size is, you have to use gilding size. It's like a glue, but it's actually made for gilding. So just give it, I probably can't talk very easily when I'm doing this. Just kind of carefully go around your scalloped edge. The size goes on white. And so you can see it, which is great. Can you see that? And then it will dry to be shiny. So you can see where you have put it. Now, of course, when you're doing this, you're not rushing like I am. You want to let everything dry really nicely. Maybe wait. Well, you can blow it dry and it's good, but you can also wait like 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you want between these processes. That will assure that your paint is nice and dry. When you work with the gilding size, you have about 45 minutes total for it to come to tack and to be able to accept the gold gilding. So here it is. I want to make sure you can see this. I can't see the camera very well, so I think we're good. Okay, you can see how this is starting to dry. This we need a little more time. And I also went around the base. Just easily freehanded it. If you're doing something larger, you want to make sure your paint is dry, and you can always tape it off to have perfect lines, straight lines around the base, if that's what you want. Just use some painter's tape. It works great. We'll do that much for now. Going to dry this quickly. This shouldn't take too long. Got my gold gilding over here, and it's kind of blowing around, so it's making me a little nervous. Okay, see how you can see that as shiny. When you use your ring finger, just kind of feel it, and if it's ready to go, and it just pulls a little tiny bit of your skin without it feeling wet. So this is looking good. You want to make sure it is not white when you apply the gilding. If it is white, that means it is not dry. And honestly, it will never dry underneath your gilding, and it will eventually just kind of rub off. So make sure that it is come to tack and ready for the gilding. Okay, I'm gonna take my glove off for this. Okay, I have cut the book. The book comes just a little bit smaller than this. I cut it, making sure you keep the binding at one end. And to gild, you just peel back the pages, hold the end here so you have a little bit of control. Don't mind the flyaway. And then you just apply it. Press it down and lift up. Okay. And it will only stick where you have put your size. I'm going to just pull out a couple pieces and add it that way. It doesn't really hurt the gold. Since this is not real gold, it doesn't hurt it to touch it. If this were actual 22 karat gold, you would never want to touch it with your hands or your fingers. And you also never want to touch the sterling silver with your bare hands. Okay, a little bit more. You can use little pieces to fill in. Okay, and I'm going to add just a little bit around the base where I added my size. I hope I'm holding this properly. Okay. That'll do for now. Okay. Now you want to kind of burnish a little tiny bit. Just make sure it's on there. If you have spots you missed or whatever, feel free. You can always go back. No big deal. You can always double gild it. But use a brush just to kind of clean it up. I can see where I did not burnish well enough, but let's see. Go ahead and push that down. If you would like, you can use a 4/0 steel wool to kind of rub it back a little tiny bit. You never ever want to use sandpaper on your gilding. It will just completely take it off, and that is not what you want to happen. Okay, I'm just going to pick up a couple little chippy pieces, fill in a little bit. Okay. So cute. I love adding my gilded accents. Okay, I did not do the base very well, but for the sake of time, you get the idea. Okay, here is the gilded rim. Now at this point, we are going to apply the transfer. Let's get some of this out of the way. Now, I will put my transfer. I kind of wanted it at the opposite end of this because I'm just going to do one little transfer. I'm just going to do a bumblebee that I blew off the table. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Okay. Here is my sweet little bumblebee transfer. I'm going to add it to the opposite of the seam. There it is. Line it up. Hopefully it is straight. Actually, I'll put it right under that scallop. Press. Oh, you know what? This got on the floor. I should let me quickly cut one and show you. What you want to do, since that ended up on the floor, I think it got some a little bit of dirt on it. So I'm just going to cut out a butterfly. You just cut these out, keep the backing and the paper together. Okay, and then when you apply it, you just peel off the clear from the backing. Okay, let's try this again. So now this is ready to go. I'm going to do it right here. You go ahead and press. And you can use either a tongue depressor, or I have this little burnishing tool, and you just burnish. So give it a good little rub. I'm not sure if that's missing the center. Something's looking funny. Okay, well, we'll keep going. And then you are going to, I always use like this paper to kind of lift the corner to see if it's ready to come off. But it's kind of hard to get under there a little bit. Let's see. I'll try it from I'll try it from here. Okay, so you want to peel. I see it's not quite down there, so keep burnishing till the whole thing is ready to release. You want to be careful with like the little antenna. Okay. Oh, perfect. Actually, nothing's missing. It was just so dark. I thought his little body was missing. Okay. So I kind of like to get it as burnished as possible so you don't see the edges. But once we start antiquing, it won't show. But see, it's a very fine, very lovely transfer. It's very thin, so be careful with it. But they're just lovely. They come off beautifully. Okay, so now, how I wanted to imitate the black on my Cachepot. I loved the contrast of the that antiquing. And you can do brown if you rather, but I just wanted to copy the picture. I thought it was so beautiful. So let's get these back on if I can, because the black stain gets everywhere in your fingernails. Okay. So what I used for that, for the antiquing, is I used a seaweed sponge, just a small piece, with a little bit of texture wherever, you know, you can kind of decide. And then I used a little bit of warm water and just dip into the glaze, and then you just start adding. Now I know it's going to look like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But keep at it. Move all the way around, get onto the gold. And you just keep working it so that it's, you know, it's not crazy black, but work it so that it looks like it has gotten some wear. It is kind of in the crevice. It antiques the gold. And you can also come back, after I'm going to use the sponge, I come back with a rag and kind of tone it down a little bit too. And this I did it all over the piece. I did it on the bottom. I did it inside. And I just did it till where I thought it looked nice. Okay, so here's my rag. Kind of pop the bubbles. Take off some excess. I don't mind having a little bit of darkness here and there. Okay. There is that. We can kind of pick that off after it dries, those little gold flecks. Normally when you're doing this, you have a much cleaner surface. I'm just in a rush and trying to get everything done in a short amount of time, but I'm going to blow this dry. Almost done. Okay, now we continue to seal this and age this with wax and dust of ages. Just gonna try and get a little bit of a drier rag. Of course, you want to wait till this is fully dry. I'm gonna kind of get some of that gold off of there before I wax it in place. Those little specks. Okay, so at this point we have done the Cherbourg green, we have done the gold gilding, we have used Kensington black, oh my gosh, my words, Kensington black, oh my gosh, gel stain, thank you, gel stain. And we are now at the point of we want to use our light wax, our dark wax, and our dust of ages. So the light wax, we always have a separate brush for our light wax and our dark wax. So you just load your brush. You always offload your brush. You want to make sure you don't have too much, but you also want to make sure you have it everywhere in your brush. You just don't want clumps. So just go ahead, brush it on. And if I had done this whole thing, it would be everywhere. But for now, I'm just going to do this And you will see it has a bit of a sheen. It will dry down. You want to make sure that you will feel it when you're working with it, but it will come to tack if you just leave it for a little bit and you let it kind of dry, so that when you add your dark wax, you have the dark wax going on separately. You do not want it to go on and start blending with the light wax, or you're going to get a completely different look. What you want is the whole piece waxed for sealing and for the finish, but you want the dark wax. You want that for the accent. You want it for a little bit of age. You want it on the edges. It's not so that it is dark wax everywhere. Okay. So again, the dark wax, and you offload. And then start adding it to the edges of your piece. It's very subtle, but it does make a difference. It absolutely makes a difference. Just kind of pounce a little bit. Okay, so there's with the dark wax. Ignore my terrible gilding on the bottom, but the top is looking cute. Okay, now we are going to fan this a bit because we want it to come to tack before we add our dust of ages. And the dust of ages really makes a difference because it will add kind of a grayed tone to the piece. It gives it that look of dust in like the edge, inside, just kind of where it looks like it's old. It's been there for a while and it's collected a little bit of dust, and it's beautiful. I love it. And it also gives just kind of a special finish to your pieces. It completely changes it in a very subtle but dramatic way. So I love dust of ages. Okay. So let's do that. Dip in, and you can be generous with this. You just pounce on to, whoo, that's really generous. Just pounce onto it. And since I didn't do it everywhere, I'm just going to add it to the front of this piece. Otherwise, I would add it everywhere, of course. And then you take a cotton lint-free rag, and you just want to give it a hit drag kind of motion to get that off. And you can leave it not too shiny if you want more of a dull, or you can kind of buff it a little bit extra and give it a little extra shine, which I'm going to show you. And there you go. So these are the processes. I'm now going to show you my finished pieces so that you can see how they turned out. I'm going to turn the camera up. Trying to see how long I've been going. Okay, so I'm just about out of time. Here is a little one that I did, just like the other. Now, how darling would this be as just a little hostess gift? Put a beautiful little orchid in it, a little bit of flowers, whatever you would like. And this is the large piece I did with Amy's transfers. Just added a little beautiful look for wherever you're sitting. And there it is. Now I have not filled it. I was going to fill it with all kinds of, um, you know, beautiful pears and greens and berries and all that for my Thanksgiving table. I did not get around to it yet. I'm saving it for the actual Thanksgiving. So, but that is it. And I hope that this inspires you to want to try out the transfers. I just love these. I think they are so beautiful. And to me, these are just little treasures. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned something. Please, I will answer any questions you have. Um, I guess that's it for today. I will see you next time and take care and have fun getting ready for the holidays. Bye bye.